Hello again. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can do sentiment analysis using RapidMiner's template. When you start RapidMiner, you're going to see this window. Okay, so in the Start tab, there is this list of all templates available, and here is sentiment analysis for you to choose. In the case that you accidentally closed this window, you can always retrieve it back by clicking on this icon. I will go through each operator and parameters, explaining how this template works so that you can customize it to your own needs. Here in the process panel shows 4 steps to complete a sentiment analysis task. Alright, let's go to step number 1. This operator is known as a retrieve operator. What it basically does is to retrieve your data set that you have imported into your repository. You can simply drag and drop a retrieve operator much like this. Okay. Alright, and then the next thing, the next operation that this template does is to set a rule. Okay, what is this set of rule? In RapidMiner, there are 2 kinds or 2 groups of attributes. The first is by default is regular attribute. The second one is a special attribute. So under special attributes, there are several rules that is available. Okay, like for example, label, ID, badge, prediction. So these special attributes are known to be special because they have rules that they have to carry out. Let's first have a look at the data set itself. How can we do that? Since we haven't run anything, we can right mouse click on the retrieve operator and then choose breakpoint after. What this does is that it will break. It will pause for a while, the whole running, right after retrieve operator completed. So we can see the output. So click on this play button or this run button. Okay, and there it becomes like a half run, half pause kind of a symbol. So this is our data set. Okay, so there are 2 columns, sentiment and text. Yeah, and if you notice, the sentiment column is colored by green or blue, whatever it is. That's based on your monitor's resolution. Alright, so if you take a look at the bottom part here, you see example set 200 examples, meaning that there are 200 records. And then there's one special attribute, which is the sentiment attribute, which is the colored one, and one regular attribute, which is the text. Okay, so click on statistics so that you can see more information about these attributes as well as the distribution of its data. So if you notice here, there is sentiment here, and then there's a type label. So it means that this data set is already acknowledging or recognizing sentiment as the label. You can click on each and one of these attributes and also click on the open visualization to be able to see the visualization in forms of charts, okay, in a larger visual. Okay, so if you go back to the design, yeah, we were in the results just now, the results mode. So if you were to go back to the design mode, basically this operator is not needed. Why? Because sentiment attribute is already recognized as label as we have seen. However, I suspect that this operator is put in only to make a point for learning purposes. Okay, so if you take a look at the parameters panel here for this operator, the set row operator, we can see that the sentiment attribute is being selected and its target role is label that's given to it. So here's another button which can allow you to add more more attributes to have more roles. Okay, for example, if you'd like to have an ID, okay, usually we will play around, or we will use regular ID and label roles, okay, for sentiment analysis. You must remember that sentiment analysis, okay, is under text analytics. However, underlying it is actually a predictive model. Why is it like that? Because we still require training data, okay, in order to train our model to know or identify which review is positive and which review is negative, or which one is neutral. So we are training, a data set, and we are pretty much predicting, okay, whether a review is positive or negative. The next operator is called nominal to text. Okay, what this basically does is to convert a nominal attribute to textual. Okay, but then again, let's have a look at the data set, okay, and then go to statistics. So here we can see the type. All right, the type. Here text, the attribute text is already of type text. So if we were to go back to the design and see what this operator does, okay, it is showing here attribute filter type all, which means that this filter type is supposed to be applied to all of the attributes, and we have only two attributes, which is the sentiment and the text. So we can conclude that this operator can only apply the conversion to the sentiment attribute instead of to the text attribute, because the text attribute is already of the type text. However, if we take a look at this option, okay, which says include special attributes, it is not checked. It is not put to true, meaning that the sentiment attribute will still not be converted to text, because as we know and we have seen that that sentiment attribute is a special attribute. It is having the role of a label. Therefore, if let's say we remove this, okay, by doing a right mouse click and simply disabling this operator, okay, and then connecting example to example again between set role and process documents, we can try to run the whole process and see whether there's going to be any error. Okay, there's no error. So it proves that we don't really need nominal to text operator for this data set, but it may be that you need it for your data set. Therefore, when you're doing RapidMiner or any data science task, you must be aware of the operators and also, okay, the condition of your data set. Okay, the roles, the type. All right, so I'm going to just explain this last option in the nominal to text operator. It's called invert selection. So let's say that we, to make a point, we will need to enable this again, okay, and let's connect the example port to the example port. Okay. To explain invert selection, we have to choose a single filter type. So if let's say I choose sentiment here, if this invert selection is being checked, okay, is being put to true, what happens is that this operator is going to convert only attributes that are other than sentiment, which means the text attribute. Okay, so there are several different types of filter types that you can choose from. All single attribute, which is just one. Subset, Okay, you can choose either to double click to choose, or click once and then use these arrow keys. Or you can actually opt for regular expression. Regular expression is a pattern matching textual search. So if, let's say, any of the attributes satisfy the pattern, then it will be converted from nominal to text. Then value type, be it nominal, binomial, and block type, there's only one available, okay, which is single value. And then any no missing values means any attributes that has no missing values, and numeric value filter is any attributes that satisfy or fulfills a particular value, numeric value filter, like for example greater than, smaller than. Okay, all right, so the next operator is the process documents from data. So these process documents operators has several varieties. Okay, if you take a look here, okay, under operators, there's process documents, there's process document from data, from files, from mail store. So you can choose which one that suits your data set. Okay. Alright, process documents from operator has this symbol of stacked boxes, which means that it has a sub-process, and all you have to do is to double click on it to take a look at the sub-process within it. So this is a common trio, I would call it, okay, because whenever there's a process document operator, what's inside it would be tokenizing, transform cases, and filter stored words. Okay, for tokenizing, you can choose the mode, okay, be it non-letters, specific characters, again, regular expression, and then linguistic sentences or linguistic tokens. Alright. Transform cases, that's basically upper or lower cases, that's it. With filter stored words, there's nothing, because this filter stored word is specifically for English. So let's see if there's anything, okay, that stop word. Okay, so there's a few other languages like German, French, Czech, and Arabic. Okay, stop words dictionary that you can choose from, but other than that, it may be that you have to construct yourself if you're doing a different language. Okay, so how do you go back to process document operators? You just simply click on this. Okay, so process documents from data has two ports here, input ports. This one is for example, which means that it will take, okay, a data set that is in the form of like an example set, which is rows and columns. Okay, WOR here is actually a word list. Okay, if you want to input or you want to send a specific word list that has been constructed, okay, you can do so. And the output port for documents from data operator is again the example set, okay, as well as a word list. Alright, so what are the parameters for process documents from data? What is this operator about? Okay, you can actually learn about these different operators with this help panel. Okay, if in the case you do not have this panel, do not fear, you can always go to view, okay, and then show panel, and you can choose whichever panel that you need. Okay, just find, if you don't have a help panel, just find help panel and then click on it. It will appear. Okay, so the synopsis, okay, of process documents from data is actually to generate word vectors from string attributes. Okay, this is in contrast with this one. Okay, this other operator is called process documents, okay, where its purpose is to generate word vectors from a text object, okay, from a text object. Do take note that the word list here is referring to the word vector that's produced by this operator. All right, so first of all, let's take a look at the parameters in this operator. So we have a checkbox here for create word vector. So this is by default is checked on. All right, and then you have vector creation based on TF-IDF, term frequency, term occurrences, binary term occurrences, okay, whichever that you find it to be useful for you. The default is TF-IDF. And then you have this add metadata. Okay, the description here says that if it is checked, okay, available meta information of the text like file name, date is added as attribute. So if you'd like to have that for whatever purpose, okay, you can have this checked. So next is the keep text option. By default, this is unchecked, okay. The best way to know what this do is to run the whole process, all right, and then right mouse click on the process document operator and then click on show example result. Okay, this is the so-called keep text. So the text, okay, the text attribute, okay, which is of the type or the role, sorry, for as having the role of text. Okay, right? So in contrast to, if let's say we uncheck this, we must also uncheck for this one, okay, because it's connected, and then we run it again, the whole process, right? And right mouse click again and show example set. So here we don't get to see what was the text, what the content of the text, okay, or the content of the review. So to me, it is quite useful to have this, unless if your text is maybe far too long, right? But I still prefer to have it. But of course, that's just my opinion. All right. So the next is prune method. Prune here means that you are casting out, okay, you're casting out words that has either very infrequent or very frequent occurrences within all of the documents. Okay, so if you want it to be based on percentage, okay, percentage. So what it means here is that, okay, any words which has a frequency, okay, of less than 3%, maybe about only 1% that it appears in all of the document, okay, and any words which is above 30%, which means that maybe we have a certain word that appears about 70% across all documents, okay, we want those words to be removed and we want only the ones that's between 3 and 30%, okay. So the next one, okay, the next pruning method is absolute. Alright, so once again, there is a range, okay, but based on absolute number. For example, if a particular word appears about 1,000 times or just once, okay, then you want to remove that, or you want to just ignore those words. And then there's also by ranking, okay, also in a range of below and above. All right, so let's move on to the next parameter. Okay, the next parameter is data management. So by default, it is auto. You can choose memory optimized or speed optimized. So the final parameter for this operator is the select attributes and weights option. So you can choose to select specific attributes, okay, which you think is more important, okay, than others. Alright, and you can also specify its weight. The next step in this template is the training and the evaluation of the model. Okay, so here we have cross-validation, which is a sub-process, which contains a sub-process. So cross-validation, here we have the option of specifying how many folds there are, be it 10, okay, that's being specified in this template. Okay, and sampling, okay, linear, shuffled, and stratified. Alright, and then you can also opt for using a local random seed. So in RapidMiner, okay, it used the same seed every time it runs. So this allows for better control of understanding the data itself. Okay, but if let's say you want to use random seed every time that you run, okay, you can check this and you can specify different random seeds that you wish to try. Okay, like for example, here is 1992. Okay, so it will remain as 1992 until you change it. Okay, this option, okay, is enable parallel execution if you wish to have that, depending also on the your processor. Okay, this option called leave one out is the same as having a single cycle of the cross-validation, right? Okay, and this option, split on batch attribute, okay, is also having only one cycle of the cross-validation. And here what it does is that it selects one of the attributes and give it a role called batch. Okay, so the partitioning here, or the folds, okay, are specifically based on that particular assigned attribute. So there is more control as to which record goes into which fold. Now let's take a look at what's inside cross-validation. So cross-validation has two columns or two areas, training and testing. So in the training is where you put you place your model, okay, your algorithm. In this case it's SVM. So you have the training set being input, and then once the model has been trained, what comes out of it is a trained model. This trained model is sent over to the apply model operator, okay, and it will train, okay, it will test this trained model with a testing set. Okay, the output or the result of it will be, okay, placed or be sent to the performance operator. This performance operator has a variety, okay, has a variety of different sorts of performance operator, classification, binomial, regression, etc. Okay, so here you specify the measurement that you are interested to know about. So remember that performance measures is the same as a stress test. Okay, mind you that the performance, okay, the output or the result of the performance should always be connected to the performance port, okay, so that you can see the confusion matrix. All right, so what's in the following in the next step, okay, which is step number 3. So in step number 3 there is this operator called create document. Okay, here the parameter is a text, okay, where you can key in a text that you want to know the polarity or you want to predict its polarity. Okay, here is something called add label, okay, a parameter called add label. This is in the case that you want to add extra metadata, okay. You can specify, okay, the label type and the label value, but for this template this is not needed because we want to create a new document without any label. and so that we can see the polarity, or we can predict the polarity. Next, in number 3 is an operator called process document. Okay, this is slightly different from this process document. As we have seen earlier, this one generates word vectors from a text object. So the text object is this create document here. This operator receives a word vector from the first process document. Okay, why? Because what it does here is it adds the word list or the word vector from this one, okay, from this operator, which we use to train the model. All right, so when we have this process document, which is supposed to be creating a word vector for this new document, we need to add the other items, okay, or the other words within the vector from the first process document, okay, or from the word vector or word list that we use to train the model. Okay, because then we are going to use that trained model, okay, on this one, on this new document. All right, so it must match the number of words within the word vector or the word list must match the one that the model was trained with. Okay, so then, okay, we will have the apply model, okay, and which is this apply model is applying the trained model to our new document, whereas this apply model, okay, is simply doing a testing, okay, okay, so that we can see the performance. What is the performance, right? And when we run this, okay, we will get to see 2 outputs. Okay, the first one is the text. Okay, okay, this is the text from the new document. Okay, from the new document, and we can see that it is predicted as negative because the confidence, okay, the confidence level for the negative is much higher than the confidence for positive. Okay, right, and if we go to the right, here are all the words within the word list or the word vector, okay, from both the trained, okay, the trained corpus or data set, as well as the new document, okay, from the trained documents here, all right, from this pipe as well as this new document. Okay, and then there's also another output, which is the performance, the so-called confusion matrix. Okay, and here we can see the criterion based on accuracy, classification error, kappa, the ones that we checked. Okay, we choose inside the cross-validation, inside the performance here. Okay, so if you want precision and recall also, okay, we can check that and then run it again. Okay, and the result, okay, will have precision and recall also being calculated. All right, so that's what this template is about. Okay, how it does things. I hope you can understand, okay, the operators and the parameters, and be able to customize it to your own needs. Thank you.